be alone, not anymore.
Today we're going to make some art inspired by the crisis that we're living in now. I was listening to this interview last weekend where, well, you know my favorite teacher. Who's that?
Stephen Jenkins.
Who is he? Can you tell people who don't know?
He is a, spiritual person. He has written a lot of books.
Yeah.
My mom's read all of them.
Yeah. And he's a storyteller, isn't he?
Yes.
And what's the special thing about that show? He's a storyteller with a
band.
That's right.
He's an amazing man, I have to admit.
So he said how if we emerge out of this crisis with a learning that wet markets in China are a bad idea, then we haven't learned anything. That's a waste of a pandemic. We haven't learned anything. It's going to happen again. He encouraged us to wonder about this crisis as a consequence of having gone too far into the wild. And when we intrude as humans, the consequence of that is that we can come back with a piece of the wild stuck inside of us. Not like the wild is punishing us or something like that. It's that we've gone too far. And we don't belong there. We're strangers to the wild. And this crossover, this connection that happened between our breath and the wild, some virus coming from an animal that can take it into our bodies that can't, because we are not wild. And we came out with this souvenir that we don't know what to do with. And I invited you to join me, and you took a rocket ship out into space. That's another place where humans are strangers, out in space. And I think we can make some connections between what I was inspired to make art about and what I invite other people who watch us making this art to think about. And maybe they'll pull out a piece of paper and some markers and a pencil. Maybe they'll, like us, see that if you use water-based markers, you can turn them into paint, like Crayolas or whatever. And maybe they'll make some art about what we can learn from this pandemic.
I'm on my way. I'm a river, I'm a shadow, a bird in flight. I'm a ribbon breast of cloud in the pale moonlight. I'm a boon, I'm a soldier, and I'm a lark. But when it gets too dark,
I like that when I journal first, it gets me going, it gets me feeling creative. I learned this from Julie, is making the writing be a part of the drawing. So I like to get writing until something surprises me or overlaps, almost like scribbling, and using colors as symbols. And so that's where I made some lines be air and some lines be blood, and I let the blood lines inspire me, and I let the breaths inspire me. And I wrote about what came to my mind really freely while I was using red, and then while I was using blue, and I imagined the body, and I thought about how connected our immune systems are all around the world. And meanwhile, you tell me about your art.
I just made it because I wanted to.
Yeah.
That's literally all.
Yeah. But it's a pretty powerful symbol, because some people are talking about taking off, going to Mars. Do you ever think about that?
Not really.
Would you go?
Yeah.
You would?
Then I would come back. I guess
Well, what
not.
if it's one of those journeys where it's so far that you can't come back because it takes so long to get there?
It wouldn't.
It would.
I'm a kid.
Oh, I see. You'd go now?
And then I'll.
Is that your plan
Yeah.
for COVID?
Yeah.
Do you have like a spot
Yeah.
on a rocket ship?
Yeah.
Oh, were you gonna bring me? I wouldn't go. No way would I go.
You'd be sad for the next 5 years, but then I would be back.
Oh, I think it's longer. I think it's longer, and so you're calculating your childhood into taking a trip to Mars? Does it feel like you're living in a space capsule right now?
Well, it's just everything right now is space related.
Yeah.
Corona is when the light outside of a silhouetted planet.
Mm-hmm. You mean the corona wanted to be
Yeah.
pictured? So
Yeah.
it came into your mind? Just like the virus.
Yeah.
The virus wants to be alive. So it jumped into our bloodstream. The corona idea of what a corona is, like the light, kind of like what is it? A halo of light that's sort of beaming off of a planet or a star.
Yeah. It is.
So you're telling us that in your imagination you were picturing an other civilization off of planet Earth?
Yes, there actually probably is one because there's infinity galaxies. Everybody knows that in the universe. But I think all the galaxies would form in, like, galaxies are in clusters. So I think all the galaxies would be one human being in a totally huge universe. Basically, the Milky Way would be an eye, I guess. But just think, there is like 7 billion people on this earth. There would be 7 billion clusters of billions of galaxies. And then it would be like etc.
Yeah.
It would just be the same thing.
Like fractal.
Yeah, kind of like a fractal.
And I can tell you've been spending time contemplating infinity. And then I made the flip side. And the flip side was like a shadow of a bat in the dark. Somebody catching it, cutting it up, it becoming a cage, and it all being mixed up. And my art is weird, but it's a weird time, so I'm okay with that. What did you notice when I was doing my art?
You just had confidence.
You think?
I still don't know what the thing is.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's kind of like it's so many things. It's a cage, and it's a rib cage, and it's a cage at a market with bats in it, and it's all, the other side, the blue and the red were like blood and breath. I was just thinking about all those things we were talking about before, about how what we breathe in can enter our bloodstream.
When I was just a boy, my father said, "Son, never."
Dad was just wondering about how he was remembering how in Cosmos, Neil deGrasse Tyson said, "We are stardust." And Dad was saying, "Oh, that means the coronavirus is also stardust." And it makes us think of your spaceship made out of stardust, with all those astronauts made out of stardust. Anything come to your mind as we wonder about that?
We're in proper going into space. If we're stardust, just jump out there. But we know we'll die, probably. Either too hot or too cold. We're in the sweet spot, the Goldilocks.
Yeah, that's right, the sweet spot. What's the sweet spot?
Where there's oxygen, gravity that you need, where...
But do you think the sweet spot is this whole planet?
Yes, well...
It's not like, because we see this sweet spot as being the whole planet. Like we can take anything. We can mine anything from the ground, or we can raise a whole forest, or we can make a wilderness into a farmland, or we can fish all the fish in the sea. But it ends up being not such a sweet spot if we're all having to stay inside. And right now you're a fidgety, nervous guy. Angry. Because you're not with your friends, and you're not at school. And so it's not a sweet spot right now. We sat down to think about what we learned from our art, and I wonder if you could just repeat something that we didn't capture, but I want you to say again about space and the wild. That's not the sweet spot. That's not where humans can live, right? And you gave this really neat word for it.
Well, at least we shouldn't live there.
Well, when we make something good for humans, then it's not wild anymore.
Well, this all used to be wild.
Exactly. Well, no, there were villages here from a long, long time, as long as
Well,
humans have been living on this continent.
Before that, before humans even existed, this would be underground.
Who's the virus now, huh? Are we the virus? But you used a neat word that I didn't know you knew. And it was about the place that's not too wild, that's not too far out of our comfort zone, and you called it?
The Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, the Goldilocks zone. From that story, the fairy tale, The Three Bears, and how there's the too hot, the too cold, and the just right. And we were just now talking about what we learned from our art. You took another angle. It's like it's not too different what we've done in going into the wild as it is going into space. We don't belong there either. And there we are with all of our oxygen tanks, the same way that we're wearing our masks today when we go out of doors, because we have to get what we breathe in, we got to get that right, both up in space and down here on the ground, because there's these viruses haunting us. Imagine that. There's these viruses that are floating around Burlington, Ontario, that have traveled all the way through people's breath and their blood all around the world. And you got that picture, you gave us that picture of us venturing into space. It's just sort of the same, it's just sort of that same energy that humans have to conquer the next frontier. And how will we define our Goldilocks spot now?
I don't know.
we are sitting here. We both have some putty, something to fidget with, and Finn is full of beans because he's been not going to school for how many weeks now, Finn?
Would it be 4 or 5?
That's pretty much where we're at. We don't even remember. And he misses his friends, and he's a little angry with me. Or I don't know, what was it that you weren't so into today? Did I betray you?
No.
Okay. Because I do feel like, I'm making you do art today,
Yes.
which, I don't usually do that.
You make me do art.
No, we usually want to do art, and today I asked if you wanted to, but I don't know what you would have wanted to do today. I think you would have wanted to go to school or something like that, and it's a Sunday. And so you were just maybe out of sorts?
I would still want to go to school even though it's a Sunday because I miss my friends so much.
Yeah. So you did it for me. You were very kind. You made art with me. It was hard for you making the art. You got frustrated.
I had to turn
Yeah, you got frustrated with your art.
I turned the white to gray by accident.
Yeah. You got it all muddled up how you wanted it. You wanted it to look nice and clean and white and shiny. Okay? And that's maybe why you got fussy when you were making your art. And this isn't art for being pretty, is it? This is art for learning. It's making stuff where after you make it, you've made connections that you hadn't made before.
This is all just like, I don't think this is a coincidence.
No?
A coincidence. No, I think this is more of a warning.
Mm-hmm.
A warning of what this brings on to our shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of weight on our shoulders already, mankind, and we just set ourselves up for much more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think about this.
Two, three, four.
You know how you can only see the corona of a planet when it's eclipsed? Or when the moon goes right in front of the sun. You've seen those pictures of the corona of the sun? It looks like that fiery halo that you were talking about, Ben? And it's like all the people have been eclipsed by this virus. You can't see them anymore. There's these empty squares and all these wild animals coming back into the squares. So all the people, just like the sun is blocked, all the people are blocked by this virus. So that means we see the corona. And the corona, maybe, is what people make of this time. It's the meaning that they make of this time.
You're right.
What does it do for you? Like, you got a little frustrated making this drawing, and I think it was because I asked us to do something hard.
Yes, well...
It made some connections. And I hope that other people will make some connections too about how the whole world right now, never before in my life, or your grandfather's life, your grandparents' life, have we had such a quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
And we're using it to get creative, not to make our house look nicer, not to make pretty things, but to learn. And we're hoping that art can be an antidote to isolation. Do you think our lives will be different after this, Finn?
Yeah.
Any predictions?
No. Just one thing that I want
What?
back.
What?
School.
Yeah.
With every moment, every step, with every heartbeat and every breath, with every stride, I'm lost in dream. The devil had me deep sea. On every river, whispered low, it's just the way the story goes. As every river knows. Now every solemn step I take reminds me not for my own sake that every river ebbs and flows. As every river knows. With every river, every river, every river, every river, every river, every river, every river knows.
Do you have anything you want to say about my strange creature?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are baby bats
Yeah.
in the rib cage of a mama bat.
Oh, but
In the womb.
oh. And
That's basically all.
anything else?
Not really.
Okay. Thanks for talking with me.
You're welcome.
I love you.
Don't have to say that on here, but I love you too.